Straight as the sun go down. Vibes that nice and we gather round. Tonight the old town now a playground. We're raving mad to the soca sound. We're raving, raving. Jump up with the morning sun. We're raving, soca sound. We're raving. Jump up with the morning sun. We're raving, we saving. Every beat till the night done come. Flags in the air, hands up high. Sweat dripping as we touch the sky. The music hits you can't deny. Tonight we live, tomorrow we shine. Yeah, they still on the best of times. Echo, echo, echo. Welcome to this week's installment of Echo by BK Crypto, where we echo the sounds and voices of women around the world. Women in technology, women in blockchain, women in psychology, women in all various aspects doing wonderful things around the world. And today I am your lovely host, Kimberly, and I have my co-host, Miss RB Rice. Miss RB Rice.
Body rising.
And we have our lovely guest here, Miss Stacy Griffin, and we'll give you a little insight into her and all the wonderful things she's doing. So, I'm thrilled to welcome Miss Stacy Griffin. She's joining us today, and she has a remarkable career spanning multiple industries, including a stint at Apollo Management with responsibilities in its management and real estate division. Stacy has established herself as a versatile leader and an innovator. As president and CEO of the manufacturing firm DuckPads Inc., she led management, product development, patent research, secured a U.S. patent, spearheaded aggressive brand development and marketing of a new consumer product, and she grew the sales from $0 to $2 million revenue in just 24 months. That's after product launch. Prior to that, Ms. Griffin served as president and chief strategic consultant at T-Core Inc., or is it Ty-Core Inc., a consulting firm where she provided business development, strategic management planning, brand marketing, and event management expertise for Fortune 500 clients such as Oracle Corporation, HP, that's Hewlett Packard, and Nike, to name a few. Her professional journey has taken her from producing children's television shows and news broadcasts to founding her own luxury lingerie brand, Sugar Lily de Soie Privée. I know I'm butchering the name, and I'm in France right now. Anywho, Miss Griffin is a member of the National Association of Women Business Owners, Strategic Management Association, and the Association for Corporate Growth. She also volunteers with the American Red Cross's Reach to Recovery program, where she supports and counsels women who've been recently diagnosed with breast cancer. Ms. Griffin graduated from San Francisco State University with a BA in broadcasting and earned an MBA from Pepperdine University. And she's currently completing her PhD in media psychology at Fielding Graduate University, where she's delving into the intersection of psychology, psychological sciences, and media technologies. As a founder and CEO of Cherimoya, a media psychology consultancy, Stacy explores the profound ways in which media interacts with our minds, shedding light on insights that can shape the world meaningfully. Whew, that is a mouthful. You've been busy, Miss Young Lady. So we welcome you to today's show.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So seasoned. So seasoned. Wow. So I'm so ready to jump into all these goodies. There's so much things, a plethora we can touch into. But the first thing was to ask our guests, what made you purchase Bitcoin?
I got a call from a friend.
And you listen. You better.
I got a call from a friend who said, "Oh my God, check this out!" And it was like, I don't know how many years ago. It was literally when Bitcoin first came on the scene. And this friend had done a bunch of research and was like, "Oh my God, Stacy, you have to check this out. We have to get you a wallet." And it was literally when Bitcoin was first introduced. And I knew nothing. It was late at night too, because I was surprised because this firm was still up because they're on the East Coast. And it was like, it had to have been midnight my time. So it was like 3 a.m. their time. And they were still up and excited. So it was like wild. Because I was like, "Why are you awake?" I'm like, "Why are you up?" And she was like, no, we have to get you a wallet. And we're just going to get a little bit. We're just going to get a little bit to see what it does. And I was like, okay. So I think we bought like $200 worth or $250 worth. And I was like, and there were just like 3 types. I think you get like 3 types. It was Ethereum, and there were just 3 types. So we bought a little of the 3. And literally, I literally bought it and just left it there, put it in the wallet and left it there. And that's what started me on my journey with Bitcoin. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, that friend is here. That friend is here.
Isn't she lovely?
That friend was Kimberly.
Listen, we can't go on this journey by ourselves building wealth as women.
No, and that friend was Kimberly. And it was literally when it first started. And she called me. I was like, "Why are you up? Why are you awake? And why are you calling me at midnight telling me about this stuff?" She's like, no, we have to try it. We have to get some. Let's just get a little and see what it does. And literally, it was when it first came on the scene. And it was Kimberly.
It was a little later,
okay.
but it was, it was when it was really starting to gain recognition in the news media towards mainstream news. But that journey when we're talking about like finances, and we're going to get into the psychology thing because all of this is going to go full circle. But I know that you invest in other, assets over the years, right? So one of the things that we hope to impart on people, especially young people who may be watching the show, is like, what sorts of knowledge did you acquire, if any, from your family? Like, what was your family life like as it relates to money? Did your family discuss it around the dinner table or anything? Like, what was that like for you?
My father was a great investor, and my mother largely left that to my dad. So my dad was a great investor, and he always had the Wall Street Journal, and he always, he had the Wall Street Journal, and he had the regular. We lived in Palo Alto, and Palo Alto back in the day, I don't know. He always had newspapers in the New York Times, so they always had and he was always checking the stocks section. And he was always like going through it. So we would see him do that. So it was kind of by osmosis. And then he would talk to us. He would always be checking the stocks, checking the stocks. And he would talk to us about stocks. And he would say, don't go, he would say, if you buy it, don't go in there and pull it in, take it out and put it in, take it out, put it in. You have to leave it and, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that's how we learned how to invest. Yeah, and he would tell us do it by companies that you like and things that you buy and things that you're interested in. Don't just go buy things, what people, whatever, willy-nilly. So yes.
It's interesting. The whole things that you buy. I tell you, I wish I had, I honestly wish a friend had shared that she was buying Apple at the time when Apple was just kind of coming up. Yeah. And she apparently bought a bunch of Apple and didn't say anything, and also
We
another.
all have those friends.
I know, but I mean, just
Microsoft
share
too.
if you're interested. So if you have a friend or something, don't be so aggressive like I was about it. But if you have a friend, then just share what's interesting to you. That's kind of what we do with BK Crypto.
Yeah.
We talk about whatever we're investing in just because it's interesting. Not that we're telling anybody to invest in anything.
Right.
But you know what? I find this interesting because I'm listening to you both, right? And as we talk to you, Stacey, there's an influence there, right? So there's the psychology of something that told you that this made sense. You were growing up in it. And then there's the media, because when you think about media, that has to deal with the New York Times, that has to deal with the stocks, right? So there was a fusion there in your life, whether you realize it or not, that became profound in your life to make you successful in what you do. So can you kind of like incorporate how did that actually fuse to become who you are? Because the psychology and mindset knew that I needed to be part of this. You saw it from your father. And then as you grew up, you saw him constantly looking at media, which is an influence, at the table, reading that newspaper, reading the New York Times, which is a Financial Times as well, that basically stamped the imprint of your life. If you didn't think about it then, are you thinking about it now? Because that was a huge influence. I'm listening, that was a huge influence. That's what registered to me. Like, wow, that's powerful.
It is. Media, my background, I have a degree in television, as Kimberly mentioned. So I did news for a large portion of my early career. And the way I got into news and got into media was because growing up, I didn't see people on TV doing the news that looked like me. And that's what as a young girl, I said, that's what I wanted to do. Then the reason being was because I always saw, and this was really what got me when I was a kid, all the news stories I saw that showed Black people or people of color, Latinos, Asians, Black people, any person of color, which was the majority when I was a kid, were Latinos, Asians, Black people. It showed us in a light that was negative. And all the people that I knew in my community doing things weren't doing those things. And I lived in a majority people of color neighborhood. And it was a blended people of color neighborhood. So we weren't doing those things. But whenever I saw us on TV, everything bad was us, but everything good was not us. So I was like, no, that's not an accurate representation. So I said, when I grow up, I'm going to do news, because I need to show people that, we're not the ones doing all of the bad things. So, and that's why I said, when I grow up, I'm going to be a reporter and an anchor, because I need to be able to show that we're doing good things. So that's what.
So how important? That's powerful.
And I realized the power of media
is
the power that and that's when I realized the power of media. Media's power.
Yes,
and even with investing, you never saw people. You never saw people of color. Whenever you saw people of color, we were poor, and we weren't poor. None of the people of color that I knew were poor. I mean, granted, there are poor people of color, but there are poor people who are white, but they never showed that. They only showed the poor people who were of color, never the poor people who were Caucasian. And there are lots of them. So, and then the poor people, research shows that most of the people on welfare are Caucasian, not people of color. That's the statistical fact. It's not like anything that's made up, it's the fact. But they would never, whenever there was a person to be on welfare, and this is something Ronald Reagan started with his welfare queen was Black.
Talk about it.
The people on welfare, statistically, overwhelmingly, are Caucasian. Well, that's the image, and that's the power of media. And when Ronald Reagan did that, and they went and grabbed a Black woman, then that became the overriding image that everyone had in their mind. And that is the power of media. And, Kimberly, I'm getting my PhD in neuroscience and media psychology. And neuroscience and media psychology, what I'm studying is propaganda and influence, and how media influences the masses through technology.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I want to just tap into that. There's a Instagram that was going around, a friend shared to me, and it was, I think it was a gentleman who was reflecting on a time, and I think around 1947, 1948, when he remembers a white man knocking on his door, asking him that if his mother commits to his father not coming in a home, don't quote me, that he would give his mother extra $15 a month for his family if his father didn't reside in a home. And he was basically reflecting back on that story, sharing it. So I'm listening to you about welfare and the birth of it, and that it really wasn't, the birth of for the family. It was to separate the Black family. And many people sold into that story or that narrative, hence why we have so many of us, like you said, there's more white people, but as the media plays it, the psychology on us, it reflects on us in a derogatory, I want to say low vibrational way. So the power of psychology as it influences many things, but especially in media, even when we think about makeup in the 60s and women, it has been a huge reflection on how we look at things in our day-to-day. And the fact that you as a woman of color realizes the importance of that, the same way how I'm wearing our BK Crypto shirt of this Black woman, we need to see more of us in empowering movements and images, because the psychology of this empowers us to do better and to do more. So thank you for this.
Mm-hmm.
It's an honor for me to be able to work in media and then understand how the mind works and understand the triggers that can help people move in a positive way through technology, and then to use that for good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that is my pleasure and my honor. It's like when I was a child, my mother said, "You can tell a lie and make it true," and that is what overwhelmingly is done every day. But we are the biggest purveyors of lies to ourselves. We will take, because and we do it for clicks and likes. We do it for clicks and likes. And
you are touching base.
We do it for clicks and likes and money, which clicks, likes, money equates to clicks and likes equates to money. Equates to it generates revenue. And when that, just like it takes you back to that story where you said the man offered the mom $15 extra if her husband left the house. And at the end of the day, it's like, how much is your soul worth? And apparently very little. So because we keep doing it to ourselves.
I have a sister. Oh my God, I love you. This is pushing up. So again, like you said, we have choice. We have the willpower. Technology is in the forefront, and it's actually, I feel, it's in our favor. But you have to choose to. There's a sister named Noy, and she basically does a lot of integration with art and AI. And I recently saw her page. She's doing a color book. Don't quote me. Something with just men, Black men. But in the coloring book, you see Black men just in a vibrant, noble transformation. You get to color it and envision that type of oh my God, like spiritual embracing the power of our Black men. And then on her page, she recently started showing the animation of Black men and women, and she showed a visual of a Black man and a woman kissing, but it was like euphoric and cosmic. And I said, thank you for showing these images, because it puts me in bliss and love and empowerment that our love exists. Those images radiate with me, saying that it's possible to have Black love and family.
Right. Right. And when you take away, see, here's the thing. We have, we believe that someone else is, we have given other people our power. And when we believe that someone else is in control of our ability to move forward, or that they are in control of our ability to have happiness, or they are in control of, they have the ability to bless us with the ability to move forward. Like, we need their permission. We need someone else's permission to achieve, to excel, to move forward. And without that permission, we are stuck. When we have that in our minds, then that equates to the inability to succeed and the inability to thrive. And when we accept the fact that we know who we are, and we, whatever that someone says about us is their problem, and it shows their insecurity and has nothing to do with us. And when Kimberly can tell you about this, she knows my parents. She knows both my parents. She knew both my parents. My parents raised us, if someone called us the N word, we'd be like, that's your problem. That's your problem, not mine. Because we grew up in a predominantly, we were only Black kids in the room, like, most of the time, and Kimberly can tell you this. So we were in situations where we would call things, people were like, oh no, you can't do this. And we were like, is that so? Can I though? And we would just go ahead and do it. We were we were in situations where we'd be at the bus stop, someone would drive by and, trying to get home from school, and someone would drive by and throw something out the window and call it the N word, and we'd start laughing or something. Because truly, we realized that's your problem, not ours. That's a problem when you're being raised. And my parents had us look the word up. When we were young, my parents said, look it up in the dictionary. Who's exhibiting that behavior, you or them? So who's the N word? You or them? And we would say, they are. So my dad said, so who does it affect? My mother would say, who does it affect? You or them? You'd be like, them. My parents would say, then keep it moving. Keep it moving. Whose problem is that? Is that your problem or theirs? So,
They say education starts at home, and
it starts at home. It's like, really, you have to realize
parents.
whose problem is it?
Right.
Yours or
Right.
theirs?
And you were blessed to have those parents that understood that empowered you. So I can understand strength. But there are many who have not had those parents or grandparents to support that for many reasons. And I want you to just dig back into, I like to get to the root of things, because as you step into psychology and media, this is a profound time to talk about the things that we have to unravel. I'm a financial soul healer, and I go deep into the wounds of our financial roots, of the narrative that are created. The narrative of, I've been deprived, I don't have enough, I'm in this white world and I have to live in it, and so I'm not worthy, so I have to do a yes massa, but not move into what I'm worth. I want you to dig a little deeper to the psychology of the things that need to be changed, and what you have seen through our community, and the things that need to be the new narrative, right? So that we can be empowered, and that we have a choice, that we don't have to live on that vibration of, I'm deprived, so I spend more. I'm not worthy, so therefore I have to just accept lack. Let's get deep into the psychology of why we're actually in this place, and how do we change it now that you're taking the steps to change that narrative, because you have the power to do so.
So two things. One, okay, so I started out in clinical psychology, and I did it for a year. And after the first year, I was like, I'm not interested in, we I'm not the type of person, and Kimberly can probably tell you this. I'm not the type of person who can sit there and listen to what happened, where you were, how you grew up, and solve
Mm-hmm.
those problems for you. I want to know this is where we are now. Let's level set. This is where we are now. And everything that happened to you in your childhood has gotten you here. And you are fucking amazing where you are. You are this beautiful, wonderful being that God meant you to be, and you are where you are for a reason. You are where you are for a reason. And this is where we are. So let's start now. Let's level set. Let's shoot up. Let's go for the stratosphere from here. Let's go for this. You are amazing from where you are. But let's take all of that knowledge that you have that puts you right here, and let's grow. Let's go. Let's do this. Okay, let's do this. There's so many resources out here, and the world is amazing. You have AI, you have computers, you have everything in this world. You have BK crypto, all of this knowledge that is pretty much like free or limited, low cost, that you can take and build. So let's do it. You have all of these. If you want to do stocks, you can do stocks. If you want to do crypto, you can do crypto. You have everything that's available to you right now. So let's take it and let's go. Let's go. Let's do it. Where you were is where you were, but it got you to where you are. And you are here. And you are here for a reason. And you are right here. Ground zero. So let's take all of this, everything that got you here to this amazing fucking person you are right now. You are just fucking amazing. So let's take it where you are, level set, and let's go. So let's build. Let's do this. Let's do it.
So
Let's do it. What do you want to do? My thing is where do you want to go? Tell me the end result. Kimberly will tell you. If you tell me where you want to go, I can backstep you there and get you where you want to go. And that is my superpower. That is my God-given superpower. Kimberly will tell you this. I won't remember a word I said. And Kimberly will tell you, I'm like, you better record it or write it down, because after I tell you, I will not remember.
that is true.
Talk the spirit. I love you. Talk the spirit.
That spirit working through me, because I will not remember a word I said. If you tell me where you want to go, once I start, write it down, record it, because I will not remember it.
That is true. So when you think about media psychology, and I feel that much of what we consume today has been, it's not necessarily scare tactics, but it's a lot of, you deserve this and so forth, and you can't be left behind. I think that they tend to play into this is my interpretation, that they tend to play into those things with people. How do you feel, or what do you feel would, I don't know if you have any thoughts on this, would be a good approach for, let's say, the in politics, the people who are running for president, being that that's something, because some politicians really play on people's psyche, I feel, or
That's their job. Wait, that is their job.
Mm-hmm.
And they do it for selfish reasons. They do it for power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a power play, and you kind of have to look at that. That's a game, and we work with a lot of politicians in my company, but we only work. We're very selective, because we only work with the ones that we believe are working for good, using their powers for good. So, yeah, we work that's a game, and politicians, a lot of them, essentially in the back of their minds, are working for what they believe is good. But right now in this environment, it is all a power play, primarily. It's for their own, and they're being okay. What level? At what level are you speaking of? What level of politics? Are you talking presidential? Are you talking Senate? What are you talking?
I'm thinking presidential. Granted, we know that that's not the most important.
Let's talk presidential right now.
Okay.
Presidential, you've got the evangelical Christian nationalists have their agenda that they crafted back in the 50s. which is that America is a Christian nation created for in the service of white men. And that is it was created by this, there's an agenda that was created by this man called Paul Weyrich. He died like a couple of years ago. He created this agenda in the 1950s. He was a television producer, actually. And he was an evangelical Christian, and then he became evangelical Christian nationalist, which is a white supremacist. Everything I'm saying is Googleable. He wrote this book, which is on Google. You can get it on Google. And there's 2 films that you can watch, 2 documentaries. Now, and I had to explain this to another friend. A documentary is simply a collection of facts, not truth, because truth is subjective. It's a collection of facts that are put in a sequential order that is easily, so you can understand it. So there are 2 documentaries. One is called Bad Faith, and one is called God and Country. You can watch them on YouTube in their entirety for free. They will explain this Christian nationalist movement. So I highly recommend both. Yeah, they're both about an hour and a half. And Paul Weyrich's documents are in there. And within this Christian nationalist movement, they chose President, what's his name? Reagan. And he agreed to work with them. But then he said, you guys are kind of cuckoo. And then he left. But he's the one that did the welfare queen. So he started it with the whole welfare queen. So he started using their tactics. And their objective is to dismantle democracy, because they don't believe in democracy. They believe that, they need to get their Christian person in there so they can run the country as a Christian nation. So and Reagan didn't believe that, but Reagan wanted the power. And they said, we are going to put our Christian bloc together. And in these documentaries, it will show how Paul Weyrich started executing his plan beautifully, and how they started with abortion. And Republicans care not about abortion. Abortion is a red herring, and a red herring in psychological terms is just a deflective mechanism. And it's like, oh, look over here so you don't see what we're doing over here. It's like squirrel, and you look over here so you don't see what we're actually doing over here. The big thing that we're doing over here, you look over here. Because they didn't care about abortion, and they don't care. So anyway, back to my point. So to sum it up, Reagan didn't work. The Bushes wouldn't have anything to do with them because they thought they were crazy. And then here comes Trump, and Trump is like the perfect object. He's the perfect tool. So right now, what the presidential race, Trump is just a tool. And Trump will allow himself to be used by anyone who gives him the best opportunity to get power and to do what he wants to do, because he's a big child. So whoever gives him power, he will do what you want. So it is power. So what you're voting for right now isn't necessarily like a president. What you're voting for is your ability to be able to have like a king, which is an autocracy, or the ability to have a democracy and have a say in how you live your life. How you live your life. Have a say, be able to have a say in it, which is democracy. Because if Trump gets in, everything that you think you have will be stripped away. And I say this not lightly, because like 15 years ago, I don't know if anybody of you remember 15 years ago when they were saying, oh, the Voting Rights Act is coming up, maybe 10, 15 years, the Voting Rights Act is coming up for a vote. And people were saying, oh, no, I'm not worried about that, because why would anybody bother that? That's just like, why would anybody bother that? And then they took it away. That's Paul Weyrich. They have been working on that since 1959. That was part of their plan. And none of us believed it. And we all poo-pooed it because we thought, oh my God, no, that can't happen. and then they took it away because that's the Christian. That what they've been doing is quietly putting their people in place, and none of in front of our faces. The best thing you can do is act in front of someone's face on a big thing, on a big stage, because no one's going to believe you're doing it. But that's the best thing. That's the thing. What they believe is Christian nationalists believe that they don't need everybody to vote, just a small group of well-funded, well-organized people. Anyway, I talked too long. Go ahead.
So we're in the crypto space. I'm just thinking we're in the crypto space, and there's been a negative media, right, towards crypto, Bitcoin, everything, while the institutions, the large banking institutions and so forth, have been quietly getting their ducks in order. And so now we have things like, the Bitcoin ETF, the Ethereum ETF just launched recently. And so I just wondering, what would you say to people, for me, I always say, just think for they should be thinking for themselves. But what would you say to people who consume the media? I don't consume much.
It's a situation where you really have to do your own research, and research is important. You really have to do your own research, and you have to pay attention to the research that you're consuming and where it's coming from.
That is true.
So, and that's important.
That is true.
Because all research isn't good research.
That is true for everybody.
You have to make sure it's coming from a reputable source.
That's true. That's true. So when you, so right now you are focused on, you know what? I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm just thinking about the young people who are coming up who, didn't know that this profession was a thing. What would you say to a young person who's coming up and interested in, because you've had a varied path to get to this point, so what type of advice would you give to someone coming up, maybe entering college? What sort of path would you maybe want them to consider?
Follow your passion, whatever you're passionate about. But I'd advise to check, do some research, because there are some careers, I believe, that are, because of AI and technology, some careers that are going to be going away because machine learning and machines and technology are going to be taking the place of actual people. So I advise to do some research and kind of see what those careers will be, so you don't enter them when you're going into college and pay all that money and have that debt to go into a career that won't be there when you get out.
That's true.
That's true. And then find something that you really love to do, or that you're really passionate about.
Yeah, I always say that's the most important thing to do, really find something that you're passionate about and pursue that, because, even for myself, whatever you're passionate about will find you,
Right.
Because many of my friends from college, they went into finance or accounting or became brokers, and most of them don't work in that field directly anymore.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Another thing is that realize that whatever you go study in college, you might not end up doing, and be okay with that.
That's a fact. That's how the conversation with another student.
That's life.
That's a fact. It is.
You're going to grow. You're going to grow, and you're going to change.
Since we have people. And as for those of you listening who are in the United States, because we're from the United States, it's important that you realize what a value it is that you can switch careers, like later on down the road, because many people in other countries don't have that ability so easily. I know in France it's very difficult to, like you need to decide early, and that's what you're expected to do the rest of your life. I'm hearing that they're having a little bit of careers now, but that has not been the case.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It blurred out at the last part. What was your?
Oh, okay. I was hearing more recently that some people who are looking to change careers in France are beginning to have some success with that. But traditionally, that has not been the case. Whatever they
Well,
studied.
what's interesting is that people in their 40s and 50s and older are changing careers and having great success. So you can change your career at any age.
Yeah. In the United States, yes. In the United States, you can. But I've talked to a number of people in other countries, and they don't have as easy a way to.
Yeah, you're right, because I don't think in other countries, I think they're more traditional. And I think, but and even in France right now, they're having the conversation about lowering or increasing the retirement age, which they're having a bit of a fight about politically.
Mhm.
So they want to retire earlier. Whereas in the United States, people are working like well up into because they're, older age, because here we get older later. We're like 50 new 30,
Mhm.
60s and new 40. So we age later. Over they're just like, no. They want to relax and just have, eat and relax. Whereas here, I think we're more work oriented, which is not necessarily
We are
good.
work oriented. No, I just came from Costa Rica, and it's interesting that you say that, because you see a lot of us transitioning into other countries because of the state of mind now. Is the question is this: are we working older because we have to or we want to? Right?
Yes.
People who are in Costa Rica
Both.
who are living, simple jobs. Let's just say in the hospitality industry. The gentleman who I spoke to, he said, we work and then we work to experience life. So because I asked him, do you invest? And he kind of was like, what do you mean by that? And a lot of the investing is the farm, the cocoa, the coffee beans. But he says, I take my check and I do what I love to do. So he does karaoke, he does kayaking, he finds other instrumental ways to provide services to tourists, but he's like, I'm spending because I'm living life, experiencing and having fun. You in New York, you guys, all you do is work. And I had to sit back and reflect and say, oh my God, he's right. And at my age, at 40, 48, I'm looking at life different. But yet the Gen Zs are saying, I'm not working just to work because it doesn't fill my soul. I want something different. So the narrative is constantly changing. And I think we realize, why are you working to die? It's about experiencing life.
Right. And even in the States, right now you have people working. Well, okay, and that is true. In the States, most people are working just to live. But I had this conversation with another friend, and my friends are downsizing out of their houses and getting like condos. They're renting condos. They're not even buying stuff. They're just renting apartments and condos because they're like, I got rid of that big house because I'm not trying to be house poor. I'm just trying to give me a little job, take my money, and just travel. And they're like, I'm trying to have some fun.
Exactly.
I'm just having fun. So my friends are downsizing right now. God bless them, they can, because I got a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old, but a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old. But I think old people. They're downsizing and they're just having fun. So people, the consciousness is changing, like you said, Roshana.
Yes.
It's changing, and people are trying to work. They're trying to work to live, work to have fun, and not really just to work to be a slave to hold it down. So I agree. I agree. So, yeah.
This is psychology. So, quick question. So, how do you think the media? How do you think the media psychology will evolve in 5 and 10 years? Right. That's one. And what are the potential risks and benefits of increased media consumption? Because there's always pros and cons.
Well, here's the thing. Media psychology, will, I think media's, as we get, media psychology is a relatively new field. And what we do is, I'm a neuroscientist. I'm a neuroscientist primarily and then media psychologist. So what we do is we use neuroscience to see how media impacts, drives people emotionally, because emotion drives everything. So what we use is neuroscience to see how different things impact people's brains and how it moves people's brains. So how we want to use that is to target segments of the population and generate positive ads and positive media to get people to focus more on, things that help them live fuller lives and better lives. Because the largest population of one of the larger populations is the older population. And we want them to be able to not just sit there and work until they die. So what's happening now is people are targeting that population to give them tools to just say, hey, get out, have fun. And they are on their own. So we want people to be able to experience life. And we find that after COVID, the rate of depression is higher and loneliness is higher. So what I think media psychologists are trying to do is help advertisers and companies, work to realize that and not just create things that, create ads that acknowledge that and not just get out there and just try to draw people in and just usurp them of everything they have just for financial gain. And, hopefully we'll get more people to do media psychology, so we'll get more people out there doing this work. I hope that answers
So we are
your
moving
question.
in the conscious, holistic approach of media and psychology. I know that a lot of those who are conscious and moving on a holistic approach are still finding challenges through YouTube, Instagram, when they're putting out certain holistic things. So with that being said,
You're muted.
You're muted.
oh,
You're muted.
sorry. Did you hear what I said? Okay, so I know that right now some of the challenges in the conscious community or in the holistic community, although we know there's a new narrative of healing, as you said, there's a huge percent of depression. Do you find this challenging? Because a lot of people who are now sharing that message in advertising, they're getting a lot of hit from YouTube and Instagram. Some of their channels are getting cut off, right? Because certain things were revealed or using to improve the psychology of our community. And now there are others who are moving to more decentralized platforms where they can control the media and Patreon to give the message as you're stating without having any drawback of literally being intentional.
Okay, so here's the thing. There's a way, and this is where media psychology comes into play. There's a way to frame messages and use imagery to get to say things where you won't be kicked off. And this is where media psychology comes into play. You have to learn the right way to frame messages and use imagery. So you can say anything, and you can say a lot using an image. So in a way that you won't get kicked off. And that's where media psychologists come into play. Because that's what we do. We use things with imagery. You can say a picture says 1,000 words.
Yeah, and image generally has a greater impact for most people.
And stories. You tell stories.
Yeah.
You know, and here's what we do, you know, and this is what, as media psychologists, we use narrative. We use narrative. So this is, and I see it in the chat. Uh, you know, I'm looking in the chat, somebody said they got kicked off. But you know what, as a media psychologist, what we help you do is we help you use imagery and narrative to tell a story, as opposed to just coming out and saying, well, blah, 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 this, and blah, 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 this, and this is so-and-so saying this, and this is so-and-so, and this is what we're doing. And, you know, this created this, and blah, blah, blah. Because I'm very much in your face and literal. And Kimberly can say that, and I pretty much have no filter. So, and Kimberly can tell you that too. No one in my family has a filter. So we, you know, you have to, you know, narrative, imagery. There you go. That's what we do as media psychologists. And as a neuroscientist, what we do is we take that imagery and narrative, and then we run it through. I'll do like run through an EEG, run a person through an EEG after we've created it, and see where it peaks, where it's hitting the right emotional peaks, and hitting emotional lows, and say, okay, we need to do more of this, less of this. More of this, less of this. Oh, this storyline is hitting. This storyline is really capturing their attention. Oh, they have low emotional resonance here, so we need to take this out. Oh, we need to do more of this right here. That's what I do as a neuroscientist. So I'll take, after we create that story, I'll say, yes, I'll test it and say, this is where we're hitting. And then we'll put it out there. And then that, you know, that the audience is like captured. If we want to hit them emotionally and have them hit them in the heart, we'll say, this is where it's really hitting. We're doing neuroscience. We're capturing them here. We've got them here. You know, we've got them here.
We definitely require you in our life as we are echoing these beautiful moments and stories from beautiful women and touching base into the lives of people's souls. They always say, you're the windows to the soul. And so everything that you're saying to me makes so much sense. I want to know, where can we find you? Because you are changing lives. You know, we at BK Crypto Echo love to think we're forward future thinkers. And that's what you're doing. Because we are in a time of hitting, I'd like to say, the heart chakra. And it is important that we continue to hit that space so that we can evolve through the soul. How can we find you? I definitely know that we definitely need to use you, and even me personally with my other business on the side, because this is where it's at. This is the magic, the magi that is required. Stacey. Thank you for being a light in the space. Let the people know what is echoing in the world of media psychology of Stacey, and how can we find you to connect with you. Beautiful soul.
Thank you so much. We're just at contact@Cheramoya.io. Contact@Cheramoya, CHERIMOYA.io.
And what do you want to echo to the world before we leave today? Because this is just the beginning.
We are at, thank you, Roshana. We are at wherever you are is exactly where you're supposed to be. And all level set and go up from there. Just whatever you have, whatever you're doing is exactly where you are supposed to be. Level set.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll see you on next week's installment of Echo.